We did, we publicly opened the bids at noon on last Friday, August 5th. So the project had a base bid, add alternate 1 and add alternate 2. Sarsic's pricing came in at $267,016.60 for the base bid. Add alternate 1 was $25,010. Add alternate 2 was $116,275.50. JR Contracting was the other bidder on the project. His base bid was $434,770. His add alternate 1 was $36,650. And his add alternate 2 was $137,928. We reviewed the bids, and at the end of the day, we recommend awarding the project to Sarsic. It's the lowest responsible bidder on the project. A couple other things in our review letter. Concerning the disparity between the two bids received, we don't see any issue with Sarsic Excavating's base bid of $267,016.60, coming in $167,753.40 less than JR Contracting's base bid of $434,770. Harshman originally estimated the base bid at $272,758.20, which included a contingency. So Sarsic's bid came in the area we were anticipating the project to come in at. So not sure why JR Contracting's bid was so much higher, but it's kind of be expected that if you only have two bids, there could be a discrepancy between the two. Otherwise, what's on the agenda tonight for you guys is deciding whether you want to include alternate 1 in the contract, deciding whether you want to include alternate 2 in the contract, and then deciding if you want to award the bid. And just so you know, alternate 1 includes an additional 420 feet of milling and paving and some curbing installed. That's on a portion of Cold Bluff that wouldn't have been paved either last year or this year. It's kind of like the last stretch of roadway that hasn't been touched. It's also probably the one in the best condition as far as any stretch that hadn't been touched as well. So that's what alternate 1 includes. Alternate 2 is removing, disposing, and installing new guide rail coming up Cold Bluff Road. Currently the guide rail's a bit banged up and also sits too low to meet current specs. So even if between alternate 1 and alternate 2, if you guys choose not to include it, we still recommend in the future looking at getting alternate 2 done as its own project at some point in time when the funds allow to just improve the safety of the roadway. And one of the last points in the letter was we understood that the township had budgeted $259,000 for this project last year.
That was going to be my next question. What did we budget? So we're in line, a little bit over, but in
Correct.
line.
And concerning the overages and overruns that Ms. Canavy pointed out, you know, our plans are very tight. Same with the bid documents. We're dealing with slide repairs. There could be a bit more digging required and a bit beefier of a repair required, but we're talking maybe 10% at the most if we need to do anything more to repair it. So, you know, Sarsic's basically held to the bid that they sent in, and don't see any. You know, we've also contacted them. They said, yeah, that's our price. That's what we want to do the project for. So.
Okay, thank you for the update. Board discussion, please.
I have no problem with John's performance. He's bailed us out of a couple emergency jobs. He's been very fair. In my opinion, his price is on the low side. I went immediately to Harshman. He is within reason of the budget. But then again, when you go after John's job, you'll find John on the machine, you'll find his son on the machine. If there's flagging, you'll see his wife flagging.
So?
They're a responsible company. I would feel very comfortable because of the past performance to award that job to them. They haven't given me any reason to doubt it. I have not did my due diligence on alternate one. I wanted to go out and see how bad the road was between where EQT left off and what we're gonna pave, to see if it should be paved, but we probably should pave it. I think it's around 500, 600 feet, and then the whole Bluff is done, but I think we ought to put an eyeball on it. I mean, we can award alternate one next meeting, couldn't we?
I'm honestly not sure.
Pardon me?
I'm honestly not sure, but it could always be done as a change order as well, I think.
I mean, you could give them the base bid, or we could award it now. I mean, it's up to you guys.
Did they break their bid down into 3 parts?
Correct, there's a base bid, an alternate one, and an alternate two.
All right, was the alternate 1 and 2 still lower?
Yes, they were.
Than JB?
Now, if I recall, the reason we opened them up, not tonight and that day, was to meet some sort of deadline for advertising and for,
The reason we opened them up Friday at noon is it's a good time for the contractors to be here for the bid opening. Typically, they like to do that, and then it allows me enough time to prepare a recommendation so you guys can
For
vote tonight.
tonight.
So if we open them tonight, you guys won't be able to vote on it until the next meeting.
We're getting to the end of the paving season, very quickly.
I just don't wanna waste the time on a special bid opening meeting advertising and then
I would recommend awarding the entire bid, not to break it down into alternates at subsequent meetings.
I know you mentioned that you were kinda shocked only 2 bids came in as well, but. it didn't
Yeah,
seem to be a
there were
problem.
10 people picked up the bids. 2 of them were paving companies, 10 Mile and El Grande. So I imagine the paving companies picked it up because the paving work's gonna be subbed out between the 2 contractors that bid on it. That accounts for 4 people picking up the plans. Why the other 6 didn't bid on it, I don't know.
So question, Sean, and possibly Rick, Chuck, I don't know, roadmasters, whoever knows better, the $25,000 for that additional, for the alternate number 1. What is your opinion as far as the condition of the road and the urgency or non-urgency of getting this done this year?
If the budget allows for it, I think it should be done, but, as I understand, it's 259,000, so I probably wanna push the budget. If I were you, I'd probably just do the base bid.
Okay, so, but as far as the condition of the road, would you say it would be something that could wait, or?
Sure, yeah, that's why we include it as an ad alternate. It's like an extra that we, it's not required to reopen Hopewell Road. Base bid is what needs to be done in order to get the road opened up again and to protect it from future re-events.
And the same thing goes for the, guardrail?
Yeah, and with the guide rail, if you guys wish to pursue it in the future, everything gets more expensive over time, but then it could be bid out on its own. You could be getting it from the guide rail companies that are certified rather than it being a sub to someone else as well, so might save a few dollars on that end.
Heather, there is no infrastructure on the alternate one, it's just paving. And that won't be done until probably 1st of October, a month after he's there. So it'll be the last thing he does, he'll pave it all, he'll just pave his contract. That's why I'm saying, we actually could go out and put an eyeball on it and add it to the job later. But if you wanna award it all now, that's fine too.
I have a more cautionary approach, with our budget, that's my mindset, and I'm concerned with the process and give what Gary just advised. I don't know, is it proper to hold back an alternate,
Since there were only 2 bidders, and this bidder was low on the base and both alternates. I imagine you can wait on the alternate for the next meeting.
Sure.
And I guess the question I have, how long, or for what period of time will Sarchik hold that price?
Sure, I mean, my understanding of his current schedule, he's wrapping up a job this month, and then beginning of next month, he's gonna start the project, and then he's not anticipating the paving to occur until, October, so. You know, I think we got time on that end, as long as it's fine to add on.
Is he gonna start next week, did you say? If the project was awarded to him?
Once it gets awarded, I'll request a schedule, but from preliminary discussion with them, we don't anticipate them starting until the beginning of September.
Okay.
I think the first Monday is like a 4th or a 5th, that's when, verbally he had
The
said.
next meeting is the 24th.
But as far as process goes, it's okay
Yeah.
to look at an alternate after an original bid was considered, if the board goes that way.
You can do that.
Okay, do we? My other concern is I would like to talk with Mr. Palermo on what our liquid fuels budget number is at this point. I know what we budgeted. Do you know, Mr. Lawson?
197, and he said this would come out of the liquid fuels.
Okay, and then, do you have a number on where we have depleted this year's road program funding money that we budgeted for on the
No.
base bid? So there's more money there?
This could be paid out of the liquid fuels. It also could be paid out of the CARES Act. The CARES Act can go in the general fund now.
Okay, so I personally would like to talk to Mr. Palermo, but I don't wanna mess up anything with this process, bid process. That's my thoughts.
We don't turn somebody loose on Cold Bluff, schedule, we're gonna miss the construction and paving season this year. We're gonna have more washouts, it's gonna cost more next year. We gotta at least get the base bid spoken.
Oh, that's understood, definitely. I'm just saying on the alternates,
Oh.
I'm concerned about process, but Gary's giving us full assurance that if the board went that way, an alternate could be tabled for the next meeting. Do you feel comfortable with that if the board so went in that way in the decision?
Sure, so, if I'm understanding you guys right, item number 3 and 4 would be tabled. Then number 5, you would vote to award the project for the base bid amount. And then, the idea would be next week, to vote on the alternates and increase the award to, the alternate pricing.
To include the alternates.
If the board chose to, I think that's where I'm at. I would like to look at the numbers.
That brings it back to the monthly thing, like, that part is helpful in the decision making. Like, we put it out to bid, I assumed that we had some sort of project funding before we put out the bid, my bad, I assumed, but now we've opened up the bids, we've had a meeting, and now we're wondering if we have the money for those add-ons.
If I was looking at the monthly quarter or the quarterly financials, I would still be comfortable calling Frank Palermo. I wouldn't trust I would want
Trust
a,
the monthly.
I personally would like to talk to the accountant, but that's just my thoughts. I understand your thoughts as well. Good.
I just figured that you guys were all pretty comfortable with putting it out to bids, you must have had, project funding or whatever, but I don't know that I would have put it out, I would have voted to put it out to bid, knowing that you guys weren't comfortable accepting a bid.
Any other discussion? I'm
I
sorry.
don't think it's that, I think it's the alternates 1 and 2. Maybe, is it need done now, or can it be pushed on next year? I think that's the question.
I thought the question was whether or not we had the money to do.
I didn't think.
I think the base contract is there, the money's there.
But just to be conscientious of, can this go to next year, or can we put it in this year's? We can put it in this year's, what it sounds like, but is it absolutely necessary to do so? That's what we need to find out.
Well, the main concern would be if you put it to next year, I'm sure he won't hold that price.
Right.
You may.
Put it on the bid this year.
Yeah, but the alternate one and two is what we're talking about, not the.
Yeah, I know.
In going back to this, and I don't mean to be flippant, but we're concerned always about bills. We have a lot going on here. Mr. Pritz, you yourself are hesitant to ever approve bills. You're concerned about them. You wanna be absolutely sure what you're voting, and I respect that. So if you.
My problem with that different is trying to gather the information, so that I was handed that stack today, and I apologized to Sean, and I said, you know, like, there's no way, Sean, I can go through all these and be familiar, like, I got that today. It wasn't really ready until late day yesterday, so I came down this morning, but when I looked at it, I was like, there's no way I can go, it's like reading a novel.
Yeah, we're usually here
He
for
did
hours
say that
after a
he gave,
meeting.
he did say he gave July already, so I can come down this week, but like I was told that was ready today.
I completely understand your concerns. I just wanna bolster my concerns before a vote, to be absolutely sure on the content. Respectfully, that's all the discussion I have. Any other thoughts before we proceed? Okay, so then, we're moving on to item number 3, which would be approved and I selected alternate number 1 to be included in the 2022 road drainage program, Bluff road repairs. I would like to motion to table alternate number 1 to the next regularly scheduled board meeting.
I'll second the motion. To table.
Dare motions, track second. Is there any discussion? My only discussion is, Gary, this is appropriate, correct? Okay. All right, any other thoughts from supervisors? Okay, roll call vote, please.
Mr. Lawson,
Yes.
Mr. Barnett,
Yes.
Mr. Creed,
Yes.
Mr. Trax.
Yes.
Ms. Joe.
Yes. Item 4,